What's up, my guys? 100 why say no. But thank you so much for those who are watching. This is all about when I figure out what's going on, particularly in Africa, immigration crackdown in the United States. And South Africa comes to my mind. Why is it so generous to immigrants? Why is it so vocal advocating for, you know, repatriation of the immigrants? It's simply because what they have seen is what America is seeing now. South Africa has been very vocal in terms of deporting people who have overstayed their generosity in South Africa. And now, this subject is very deep and very weird. I don't understand what ANC government thinks of immigration because they does nothing. Anybody can come into that country, get the papers, get the driving license, buy a vehicle, open a business without license, and you live comfortably. Because in South Africa, the consumer power is still there. People still have money to spend. It's not like the way it is in Kenya. Money is in some places. This thing has made me to keep to pause there and say, what is the future of South Africa? Because South Africans themselves, they don't do businesses. If you have not known, know today, South Africans, they don't do businesses. They work to be paid. They want to, to work white collar jobs, corporations. These are westernized corporations to earn money. When you mention the business agenda to them, they tell you, I don't have time to sit down and wait for money. I want to offer services to be paid. The country cannot be a service rendering country. There must be entrepreneurs. So, this gap between corporates and consumer, the foreigners crafted in and fit there, and corporations are not making that kind of money they used to make because these people came in, invaded the country, established themselves. Now South Africa doesn't know what to do with them. It's not a failed state yet, but immigration flows are so bad. The weak point is already exploited. I watched a video online yesterday somewhere in Kenya. More than 30 Ethiopians were arrested, being trafficked from Ethiopia to Kenya in transit to Southern Africa. Who is orchestrating this traffic network? Must be people, because those guys were more than 30. And when they were asked, where are you going? They said they're going to South Africa. They're going to South Africa to do what? To run businesses. What will the South African government do to stop the influx of people? Because the rate at which they have entered this country, it will be very difficult to take these people out unless you have a government that is for the people-driven agenda, which I don't see it in the forthcoming future. So when you see Trump administration forcibly endorsing his force, it's simply because he wants to clean the nation from drugs, criminals, idlers, people who have overstayed their visas, because he wants better governance. It is so sad to realize that in South Africa, most of the businesses are in the hands of these foreigners, and South Africans themselves, they don't have anything to say about it. You want to tell me we have reached that level whereby we don't care anymore? We just want things to be run by cartels. Because even that war that has been voted in Venezuela, it will have ties here in South Africa. Those cartels, Mexican cartels, South American cartels. What are South Americans doing in Africa? One thing is language barrier. Two, they seem to be having a lot of money. Whenever you see South Americans, Colombians, Mexicans, especially Mexicans and Colombians and Brazilians in Africa, comfortably living, that means they're doing something in transit. They don't just move those people, they are trafficking narcotics. And South Africa is a hot gateway to Eastern Europe for the narcotics transit from South America. That's a fact. As the way it is for Kenya is a gateway to Europe, Western Europe, for narcotics. This is a menace that needs to be corrected. It's a menace that need, reconciliation. But I feel sorry for South Africa because it's like the country is raided, like America. Everybody, there is no town without foreigners. There is no town without influx of immigrants, comfortably settled in the CBD of those small towns, comfortably settled in the communities. That is a fact. It is what it is. I feel sorry for them. Because the second generation of these people will be interbreeding between the locals and them. That's citizenship straight. Thereafter, they'll produce leadership, like they did in Minnesota for the last 30 years. Now they have leaders in the government, they have influence, they have managed to capture a territory that does what they want, that is Minnesota. They're in the government, they have Senate, they have Congress people, they have mayors, they have people working for the police force, airport, so they control the flow of everything. That is Minnesota for you as we speak. And this thing is going to happen again in South Africa because that man that is rooted in Minnesota, first it came to Kenya. From Kenya, it found its way into South Africa. That's why the Somalis, they have wholesale businesses in South Africa. That money is coming from America. It's not coming from anywhere else. South Africa, the way it is created, you cannot just create wealth easily without being vetted. The systems will question, where did you get all this money? But these people, they came with money. The source of the money is corruption from Minnesota. That is how South Africa is built, by Somali community businesses. That is how America and Kenya is built, by Somali business people. Ethiopians have taken the upper hand. They are migrating in big, huge numbers to South Africa, and South African government must act on this. I'm not saying it's wrong to migrate, but migrate in a vetted position, in a vetted system, in a vetted and credible system. Chinese, everybody, what is the future of South Africa? Because that's the most immigrated country too in the continent, whereby even the authorities now, what's the data telling them? Sure, because they have data at the point of entry. When they sample that data, when they want to articulate on some issues, how do they go about it? Because the country, the way it is laid, it will be almost impossible to approve these people. That's why you have the highest number of the stateless people in the world in South Africa. And that is the repercussions of not checking the borders. The statelessness will be something. There are some people in South Africa who are 30, 40 years. They're stateless and they're foreigners. So how do you go about this? I post there. I'm waiting for your comment.